close questions for oral answer today. Would some honourable member care to move that the House take note of miscellaneous business? The Honourable Bill English.
Mr Speaker, so we now have Labor's grand plan to walk backwards into the future on the crutch of a new tax. Nothing has changed. They haven't apologised. It's the same stuff as they got thrown out for, tax and spend. Nothing's changed. More spending, which then needs more tax, which is bad for the economy, which means less growth and lower incomes. And last time they were in government, it took until 2004, but they nailed it. And after 2004, that's what happened. It's all set out in the budget. More spending, more tax, slower growth, lower incomes. So, Mr Speaker, there is going to be a choice. National, who want to grow the economy and lift incomes by selling more of our excellent and competitive products to the rest of the world, and Labor, who just want more tax so that they can grow the government. So they can grow. We want to grow the economy and the country, and Labor want to grow the government, just like they did last time. And until they apologise for that, New Zealand is not going to listen. So, Mr Speaker, let's go through the numbers. Labor have a very big fiscal hole to fill. And what creates this huge hole is the tax-free zone, GST off food and vegetables, and no mixed ownership model. And you can take your guess, but it's somewhere between 10, 12, 15 billion. And we'll come back with the detail. But it's 10 to 12, somewhere 10 to 15 billion, because they have also said they will reduce debt at the same rate as the 2011 budget. So they've got to find 10 to 15 billion to fill the hole, and they're arguing that as capital gains tax will find 4. Well, the 4 billion figure, let's go through that. First, it was from the tax working group, based on normal income tax rates. Labor are proposing 15%, so that cuts the revenue almost in half. So it won't be taxed at 33 and 24 cents, it'll be taxed at 15. So that drops the 4 billion almost in half. Then that figure was based on an accruals regime, where you pay as your capital value goes up, not when you unrealised gains, not when you sell the asset. Now, Mr Speaker, they'll be forced to a realisation model because low-income owners can't pay capital gains tax if they've got no money, particularly older New Zealanders invested in investment housing who need the income to live on. So they'll be forced to a realisation model that will cut the revenue even further. And so we've got it from 2 billion down, and we haven't done the work on that yet in detail, but we will. And then there is this very simple problem. The current government's property tax measures have been so effective, there's no capital gain in the housing market. So even if they could implement this tax, it's quite possible that in the next 5 years, because of the government's tax measures taken so far, which we talked about in detail in question time, and because the world has changed around the availability of credit, that is the ability to borrow to fuel a speculation bubble, that there would be no capital gain in the next 5 years. Well, actually, they might have taken account of that, because the 4 billion figure actually takes 15 years to happen. Even if you tax it at normal income rates on an accrual basis where people pay every year, and there's the historically average increase in capital value, it would take you 15 years to get to 4 billion. So how are they going to fill the $12 billion hole? With a tax on something that might not happen, and even if it did, took 15 years to get to $4 billion to fill next year's $12 billion hole. Mr. Speaker, it's an absurd nonsense.